70 years is a pretty incredible thing for any business. I'm sure that if you talk to the people that started this operation and they looked forward 70 years, they probably couldn't have imagined what we are today. 70 years is a great way to say, look at where we've come from. We've done all this. We've had 3 or 4 evolutions in the time that we've been operating already, and there'll be more coming forward. I'd love to be here in 70 years and see what this place becomes, because I think the service model will always sell, and if we keep that at the forefront, we'll be successful. When I graduated from college and came to work for the co-op, that really wasn't taught to me in all my business or accounting classes. So that was something new to learn, but it's a brilliant thing for rural America. It's philosophical in that I think competition is great in markets where it can work. In rural Nebraska, you don't have that hard competition, and you need everyone to participate to be successful, and the co-op does a good job of bringing everyone in together and sharing the fruits of that too. So I don't think when the co-op started there was ever a vision that they'd pay back the capital credits that we have in the last 20 years. But that's the fruits of what they've done. I mean, I say our customers, our owners have built it from the ground up, and that's a great model. It works great in rural America. Generally, we spend about $5 million improving or redoing or just expanding our network every year. So there's a lot of money that we're putting into Northeast Nebraska. Between the money we put in and the capital credits that we pay back, we're a big part of the economy in Northeast Nebraska all the way across our service territory. The most important thing is that our towns continue to thrive. I don't ever want people to say, well, we can't do this because we don't have good internet right now. And that's our goal. That's what we work for every day. And we do make decisions that maybe aren't as popular with everybody. But at the end of the day, every decision that I make or you make or the whole company makes should be in the best interest of our customers, and that's what we're trying to do. It's a big ship. I mean, if you thought when they started this that we would be a $120 million company, I don't know that they would have believed that at the time. And so you have to make decisions that benefit the overall good of the company and hopefully set you up for success in the next generation. There's a couple of evolutions in the phone industry, and I think the first one was just getting service. Most of the rural customers that were on some sort of line that farmers had generally hung on fence posts or something along their way, going on utility poles and putting in their own poles in a lot of places. It was a lot of work. And it was a lot of work in that a lot of the jobs we do today is to locate cable, but in the past, they were tree trimmers. I mean, they had to go trim bush all over the place to make sure that our lines were protected. So that's the big initial thing. Now then, in the late 70s, or in the late 60s, early 70s, the consensus was to bury all the phone lines. And so they started out, replacing the aerial with buried stuff, which was a much better product. And also at the same time, they went from party lines to single lines, which was great for our customers. And then that system that was put in the early 70s was copper, and that copper system lasted pretty well up until 25, 30 years, so in the late 90s. While at the time fiber wasn't as good as it is today, and it wasn't as prevalent as it is today because there wasn't all the electronics that worked with it. Luckily, the next evolution was, in essence, fiber to everybody's home. First it was only fiber to the middle of the field, and then everybody's home was still copper, but eventually it became fiber everywhere. And fiber's made a great difference in the way we operate. Not near the trouble that we had before, but fiber has allowed us to do internet, which is the next evolution of the business. I was here when we first sold internet. And I was looking through my papers, and we presented to the board that we were going to start a dial-up internet company, and this is 1996 or 5. At the time, we didn't even know what it really was, but we were getting asked about it from the members. Can we provide it? Can we do it? We figured out how to do it across copper lines. It was dial-up, and eventually we got to where we had what we called 1 meg modems, which is way faster than dial-up. We didn't really know, and we knew our customers wanted it, and they did buy it. And eventually, a lot of people put in second lines just so they could have internet on at their house. And really, I'm going to sound old here, and my kids would probably say, "Oh, Dad sounds like a dinosaur," but when the first internet came, all it was used for by most people was reading the hard paper that they usually had in their hands. You could sit at your desk and read your Wall Street Journal or the New York Times or any other paper that you probably couldn't get in your market. The other thing that was way different was email. We didn't have that ability before to send something and get an instant reaction. I can't tell you, when I first got out of college, we were all trained in how to write letters and, formal business letters and get them mailed off. And so that way of communicating has completely changed. I think the only letters I write today are thank you notes, and occasionally something official for the state or for the FCC. But I think we're in a revolution, and I think we're not even halfway through it. It's just early on in the whole internet adoption, because right now, if you look at kids, since about 2010, they've had the internet in their hand. And that's a whole different animal than me that thinks I got to get to my desk and type. That generation will change the world. Howard Rasmussen was the original founder, and this was his vision. And to his credit, Howard attended a county extension meeting and got the blueprint of how to get an REA loan and go forward with creating the company. So I met Howard quite a bit. He was the president of the board when I was here just out of college for 9 years. Howard was a pretty driven man, and he wanted to be successful in whatever he did. So it's a pretty neat story that he was able to do this as a cooperative across areas that he probably never really could believe, So that's a pretty great guy to kind of kick it off and make it happen. Next was Emory Graffis, and Emory was kind of my mentor all the way through. He hired me out of college and was always like a guiding angel over me. Even when I didn't work here, we'd still get together and talk every once in a while. And he was the most patient and dedicated person I think anyone will ever find. He worked his tail off for this organization, and he loved doing it. What a great couple people learned from. One was more the visionary, and Emory was more the methodical person that made everything happen. And I think they were a pretty good team that way. And I feel very lucky that I got to have this position and answer to the board that I do. Our board, their heart is all about the future, and that's what you hope for. We're going to see competition right now like we haven't seen, in a few years, and it's how we weather that competition. Now, I think I'm a believer that wired fiber is always going to be faster than something they get over the air, and I think that's going to matter as more video all the time, and 4K video occupies systems. If I thought that wireless was better, we'd be doing more of it, and I just don't believe that. So, yeah, as the future of this place, we need to make sure that what we offer is faster than anything else, and that our service is way better than anyone else's. I think at the end of the day, what we do best is service. Our technicians know we are in our towns, and we should know our customers better than anyone. It's service for our people, and it's all local service, and that local service allows us to, I guess, be in touch. I think the other thing that's very prevalent with the board and the people that I work with is we don't make snap decisions. We treat this like a utility, and we treat it like what's going to be here in 20 years, and what can we make sure is operating well so that the next generation has a good system that they can carry forward and do the next evolution.